It is absolutely sensational, beautiful.
I can't believe how long we've been friends since we started as psychologists, like 40 years ago.
45 years ago, Eve. That long. And we're still here in one piece, which is pretty good.
And well, which is surprising given the number of friends that are not that well.
Yeah.
You know, Andy,
Yeah.
who had a stroke,
Yeah.
he ended up in hospital and the family was so stressed because they didn't know what to do and they were being pressured to make decisions by the medical people.
That's terrible.
And some of them wanted him to go into care and the others said no, he should be at home with a carer.
In the stress of those situations, that's the last time that people should be making decisions. I know a woman, her mother was unwell and she put her in care. Well, the mother hated the care. It was far from the country town that she lived in. She didn't like certain aspects of it. Anyway, my friend's sister then came back from overseas and wanted the mother to stay there. Anyway, there was a whole kind of argument and conflict, and now there's been a falling out. I mean, it's so sad.
Well, they didn't know what she wanted.
Yeah.
We see a lot of messy situations where there's a lot of conflict, and it really makes sense to plan for the future.
I know a friend who, as an accountant, reorganised her father's finances because she had the decision-making power for his financial decisions and made superb decisions, earned more money on his investments, but she's changed the bank. And then he goes to the bank because he loved visiting the local staff.
Sometimes the people that are closest to you, like your family, don't know you as well as you think.
Imagine being in a situation where you're not well or something's going wrong and an administrator gets appointed for you that you don't even know. I mean, could you imagine how awful that would be?
Yeah, it'd be terrible. You've definitely got a plan.
None of us have a crystal ball, so we can't predict the future, but it can give great peace of mind to plan ahead.
So, what are your plans if you become incapable of making a decision?
I'm 96 and a half, and I'll be around for many years yet.
And he doesn't like talking about it, and it worries me.
The best time to talk about it is when you're well and capable.
You can appoint an attorney who can make both financial and personal decisions for you. An attorney must be over 18 years of age. They cannot be a current bankrupt or a paid carer. And for practical reasons, it's good that they live close by.
Have you decided who your attorney will be?
Oh gosh, yes, I've actually appointed one. He's a really good friend of mine. He's trustworthy, he's capable, and most importantly, I've had several conversations with him. He knows exactly what my wishes are on a whole lot of financial matters, medical matters, everything. I prepared a folder for him with all the information about the house and the bank accounts and what have you, and I just feel calm and relaxed, and also knowing that I'm not going to leave a mess for people. It's really... What about you? Have you?
Well, my daughter,
Yeah.
I've appointed her, and obviously somebody I trust, but I haven't had detailed conversations. I haven't got a folder.
What? How come? That's so unlike you.
Because it's more like you, but I think that's something I need to have a conversation about.
Yeah, the sooner rather than the later,
Like
I
now.
think. Okay.
What we really want you to do is to talk to the people close to you so that they know what you want for the future.
You know, I think it's really confronting to think of not being able to make my own decisions.
I agree, and that's why it's so important to let people know what your thoughts are, what your decisions are, because if you're clear about that, there's much less chance that there's going to be stress down the track.
Well, I heard of one family who started this whole discussion over a family dinner, and they all started recording their own wishes on their phones, even the younger people.
Really? Well, the beauty of that, no matter how you do it, is that at least everyone's clear and people know what your intentions are, and it just means that there's no stress about the whole thing.
I know, but it can be hard to start that conversation.
We heard of a woman whose sons refused to speak with her about future planning, They said it's too morbid and wouldn't talk about it. So she developed a book. She put a picture of a car on the front. She called it her car kit. And they were curious when they saw it, and it opened up the discussion in a lighter way.
You might want to write a letter to the important people in your life explaining what your values and beliefs are. You could also record that on your phone and maybe circulate it to the important people in your life.
I think a really good place to start is by not talking to everyone, choosing the people you want to talk to and people really, really close to you.
It's not a one-off discussion, is it? Like, things can change.
You may no longer be happy with your attorney that you've appointed. Your attorney may no longer live close to you. Then a conflict may have arisen between your attorney and yourself, and you may need to review that decision.
He won't retire.
Well, I don't know that I'd be working at 96 years old.
I love surveying. I love getting out in the fresh air, I like doing the computations, the drawing. I really enjoy it.
So what is the plan if you get hit by a bus?
Well, if I've carked it all together, my body goes to the University of Melbourne. Otherwise, if I'm just badly injured or something, Mem would know what to do.
So you're going to do a power of attorney and make Mem the attorney?
Yes.
So that's okay for you?
Yes,
And who's going to do yours, Mem?
I'll have to think it over.
Look, I think the most important thing is to be proactive, to not wait till it's too late, to be ahead of the curve.
This is not just for people living with dementia or older people. It's for all of us, and it's a natural and healthy approach.
You know, it really only takes one major health scare to make us realise that we're not immortal.
I know. Do you remember in my mum's last year how she'd get really disoriented and very anxious, and we'd have to kind of calm her down and say to her, it's okay, you're at home, we all love you.
Yeah, I do remember. But she was still quite capable of telling you who she wanted to have as visitors and who she didn't want to have as visitors.
She was social, wasn't she?
Oh, very social. But what were the areas that she was having difficulty with at that time?
Well, apart from the mornings, what became difficult were the financial decisions, and she really struggled with those. And she actually asked me to help, and then when I took over, she just was so grateful. But she always insisted, I want to stay living at home.
Yeah, but I mean, her example was really more of a kind of gradual decline. And of course, there's no guarantee that it's going to be like that. It can be gradual or it can be very, very sudden.
That's right. So it goes back to planning.
Yep.
Every adult is presumed to have capacity unless there's strong evidence to the contrary. Having a diagnosis of dementia does not automatically mean that you've lost capacity. Capacity depends on the decision that has to be made. Someone might have capacity to make decisions about where they live, for example, but lack capacity to make complex financial decisions.
A power of attorney is a document in which you, the principal, appoint someone, an attorney, to be a substitute decision maker on your behalf. To make or alter a power of attorney, you must have what's called decision-making capacity.
So you know that friend of mine, Alfredo? He had a car accident. He was in a coma for a little while. He came out of it, but was under very, very strong medication. And his partner had to actually take over and make a whole bunch of decisions on his behalf while he was not well.
And so what happened then?
Well, he eventually got better, and in fact, he was slowly able to take back the decision-making and the choices and all the issues that his partner had been doing.
How is he now?
Oh, look, he's absolutely terrific. You should see him. But the point is, it's amazing how things can change. And even if things go bad, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to continue. Sometimes they can get better. You know, you just never know how it's going to turn out.
It's important that we don't assess someone's capacity to make decisions when they're unwell or in an acute setting like a hospital, because things might change.
The people who witness your signature on the power of attorney will determine if you have decision-making capacity. If there's any doubt as to whether or not you have decision-making capacity, they may ask for a certificate from your doctor to confirm your capacity.
My sister was a music teacher and we did crossword puzzles together, Scrabble, enjoyed all those things. And then suddenly from falling out of the car and having operations altered her whole persona, and I couldn't believe that she was someone else. Nothing like my sister.
It was just so unexpected with Betty.
You just never know.
Now that we've agreed we're all going to do a thorough plan of all our wishes.
All of us. You too.
Me too.
Well, maybe we can start with getting a power of attorney.
Good. Veronica appointed her daughter Samantha to be her enduring power of attorney for financial and personal decisions. And when Veronica started being unable to make her decisions, she went into a care facility, which Samantha organised, but Samantha had never got on with her sister, Jane, and she instructed the facility that Jane couldn't visit her mother.
You're kidding.
And the mother wanted a relationship with both, but had Jane excluded from her life.
Gee, that's so emotional and messy, isn't it?
Yeah, and if you think of all the decisions we make every day about money, about shopping, about buying gifts.
I mean, investing and selling assets, donating even.
So much of it is, electronic banking or emails. It's sort of quite complex.
And really, whoever it is that you appoint really needs to know you pretty well so that they can make the correct decisions that you would want.
But you also need to think ahead about what the limitations that are that you might need to put on that power of attorney.
Personal decisions are decisions like where you live, access to services, who can visit you and who you can see.
It's possible to appoint the same person to make decisions both of a financial and personal nature, although it might make more sense in your situation to appoint one person to make financial decisions and maybe another person to make personal decisions.
Well, you were going to tell me that story.
Yes, about my friend. We were good friends. He went into hospital for minor ailment, and then I heard nothing from him for about 10 days. He disappeared. Then the phone rang one morning, and it was my friend in an aged hostel, and he was locked up there and he couldn't get out.
His daughter took his mobile phone and his wallet, and he borrowed the mobile phone of the cleaner so he could call Dixie.
And what did he say?
He wanted me to come down and rescue him.
But who had the authority to put him in the home?
The elder daughter had a power of attorney.
But what about his home?
She took him, put him in the aged care, and then proceeded to take his furniture, put the unit on the market, sold his car. He had nothing.
And what happened then?
I immediately went up there and bought a phone for him first, gave him $100. We went up to the solicitor and got the power of attorney quashed.
It really makes you question, what if you're not happy with what your attorney chooses to do for you?
If you're unhappy with the decisions your attorney is making, whilst you have decision-making capacity, you can revoke the power of attorney. If you lack decision-making capacity, then the matter can be referred to the Victorian Civil and Administrative Tribunal. VCAT have the power to suspend a power of attorney, to revoke a power of attorney, to investigate the actions of an attorney, to ask an attorney to provide an account, and if there's been money misappropriated, they can also order that the attorney pay compensation.
The The obligations of an attorney are clear, but many people don't realise what's involved, and it's important that they understand what their obligations are.
You know, you can be asked to be an attorney out of the blue.
Oh yes, I know.
And my friend Jackie was asked by her neighbour to be an attorney, and the neighbour had not told her own kids and family. So Jackie was in such a dilemma and really feeling anxious that there could be conflict, so she hasn't decided what to do.
But why did the neighbour ask Jackie in the first place?
She's known her for 10 years. Jackie's very caring, she's very diligent, she's very trustworthy.
But you know, she's going to have to be very careful with the financial management, keep really good records, make sure that she keeps her money separate from the neighbour's money. So there's no depositing some of the neighbour's money into her account or anything like that.
That is actually not her issue. She will do that impeccably.
You know, what she should really do is have a talk to the neighbour and suggest the neighbour talk to her family, let them know what her wishes are, and also let them know what Jackie's role is going to be.
If the neighbour loses capacity, Jackie is obligated to make the decisions that the neighbour would make for herself, not what Jackie thinks is best for the neighbour. In determining what decisions the neighbour would make for herself, Jackie could look to the decisions the neighbour has made throughout her life. Whilst the principal, the person making the power of attorney, has some decision-making capacity, the attorney is obligated to involve them in the decision-making process and facilitate the principal in making the decision.
I heard about a really tough situation. Louis was made the financial attorney for his father, who couldn't make those decisions. But the father in the past had been very generous with his grandson, Louis's son, and he used to support him financially from time to time. That grandson's car broke down, he needed money to fix it, and the father thought, look, my dad's always helped my son, I'll just take some money out of the account and give it to him to fix the car. But he actually didn't have permission to do that.
But I thought you said that the father was incapable of making financial decisions and had appointed Louis the power of attorney.
Yes, but it actually has to be written into the power of attorney. Wow. When the father was able to make decisions that he wanted to give gifts.
I didn't know that.
An enduring power of attorney is a power that continues beyond the loss of capacity. When you appoint someone to be your attorney, you need to think about things like when you want the power to commence. Is it going to be on signing, or is it going to be after a particular event, say the loss of capacity? You need to think about what sort of power you want to authorise your attorney with. Financial decisions like managing your day-to-day banking, power to sell your property or investments. When you look at personal decisions, the power to decide where you live, your access to services, who can come and visit you. There's many things to consider, but it's important to remember that these powers of attorney can be tailor-made to your circumstances.
You know, the more that we discuss this, the more I realise that everyone should get this sorted out, and sooner rather than later.
I know, and it's just really a matter of being clear and specific and review it from time to time to make sure your wishes are implemented.
When you appoint a power of attorney, it's important not to think of the process as just a ticker box, but to make sure the document caters to your particular circumstances.
I would like to get a job talking with elderly people about their assertiveness, to be more assertive, and also to know their rights.